It's a new day in Titletown, thus we provide a new episode of the Extra Ember on the Inferno Blazers Sports Show. I'm Jaylan Sky, and thank you so much for tuning in. We've got quite a treat for you all because to kick off Season 5's Extra Ember, it's actually quite appropriate that I use that transitional phrase, oh Lord, because joining me for this episode is, in his 8th year, the head honcho for VSU women's soccer, Coach Steven Andrew. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show. And during the Season 2, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's a great chance for Blazer Nation to get to know you a little more, despite the fact you've already been here for 7 years, and also to talk about the very team you coach. Definitely gonna be a great opportunity here.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. I'm excited to be here, and you make me feel old with I didn't know I'd been here 8 years. It's all ran together, it's flown by. Absolutely.
Well, just to give a brief overview of our discussion topics for today, which I'll provide some timestamps for below. We're going to start by focusing on you, Coach Andrew, for the first half, and we'll get into some team-related talk regarding the off-season and whatnot. So be sure to stick around as Coach Andrew and I are going to be talking all about Blazer soccer. So, Coach Andrew, first thing we want to get going here now, again, in your 8th season here as head coach for this women's soccer team, but to talk more about you, Coach Andrew, the person, just to start off with, where did your love for soccer and coaching come from?
Also from Scotland, so the accent gives that away every time. That's the only sport we know in Scotland. So really? Soccer's the biggest thing over there, and maybe a little bit of rugby, but I was too small to play rugby. It was just soccer from as soon as I can remember growing up. I was watching it, was playing it, was going to games with my family. So that's been the one sport that I've loved my whole life.
And it's kind of funny. You mentioned rugby as well. You're actually talking to a current VSU rugby player.
Yeah, I could not do it. I could not do rugby. We used to play at PE at high school, and I was the guy who stayed out on the wing and just gave it one. If a big guy was coming, I just ran out of bounds. And
yeah, I feel you. Yes. I absolutely feel you. I've had those kinds of experiences. But as you spent a good deal of time over here in the United States, what are some major differences you've kind of seen between European and American soccer?
I think it's grown. I mean, when I first came across, long 2000, I think when I first came across to play over here, it wasn't as popular. I think it's really blown up in probably the past 10, 15 years. The culture of I think more people are watching the game. That's probably the biggest thing from Europe into here is back home. People build their weekends, build their weeks around watching their local team, whether it's a big team or an English Premier League or Scottish team or just a local team that has 200 fans. People build their weekends around that score, and where that team wins or loses will dictate their mood for the rest of the week. Oh, absolutely. And just kind of going on here, we have a new athletic director and Mr. Troy Caton, but for a good deal of your career here at VSU, you had Mr. Reinhardt. You had Mr. Reinhardt as the original athletic director. What was your relationship with him, and what is it like now, your relationship with AD Caton? Herb was great. I mean, obviously he took a leap of faith on hiring me. I was a D3 guy, wasn't a D2 guy, so he took a leap of faith on hiring me, and he was just great with me when I got here. He still stays in touch, he still checks on us, he still comes to games. Obviously he was the AD who started soccer here, so he always wanted us to be successful, and obviously him and his wife were huge Blazer fans, and obviously when he's leaving it's scary because you're like, it's a guy who's been here for so long. He probably did things and knew things that people didn't know how he did it or how it happened. And obviously Troy's come in, it's massive shoes to fill, but sometimes that's good, is to get some fresh blood in and just different ideas. And so obviously Troy's been through his first year now, and he's been great with soccer as well. We're getting a lot of support from the administration. He's the same thing, he's at all of our games. Sometimes you're at schools that have good football programs and kind of football takes over, but I mean, VSU athletics is always, everyone gets the resources, everyone gets the support.
Exactly.
So there's an expectation for everyone to do well, and Troy's carried that on coming in from Herb.
Well, that's great. And you mentioned as well your rise from Division 3 to Division 2, kind of transitioning on to getting to know you more as the coach. You began your coaching career at Division 3's Huntington College in 2007, then transitioned back to your alma mater at Piedmont College, where you were 4 times Conference Player of the Year there, where you coached there for 9 years. So just to kind of first ask here, what was like that jump from Division 3 to Division 2? Some because we often see Division 2 to Division 1. Yeah. We see that quite often. We've actually had that here a couple of times at VSU, but that Division 3 to Division 2, we don't see that quite often. What was that jump like?
I'll always say if you can recruit Division 3, you can recruit anywhere. Because Division 3 there's no athletic scholarship, so
Right.
I think the jump was coming here to having more resources. Obviously Division 3 level, it's a smaller school. You wear many hats, so you might be your coaching, but then you're also the game day administrator for volleyball, or
Right.
you're driving a van for the tennis team in the spring. So I think coming here and being able to just kind of focus more on just doing the soccer stuff, and then also having the resources of the strength coaches, the full-time athletic trainers, it took a lot of things off my plate to let me concentrate on the soccer aspect of the job.
Absolutely. And you also kind of mentioned Mr. Reinhardt. You said that he kind of took a leap of faith with you. Just kind of mention on that. How were you first exposed to Valdosta State? What really influenced your decision to come here and be the head coach?
Well, I think I'd reached a ceiling at Piedmont with everything I could do. I said we were very competitive. We were in conference a lot of years, but just the size of the school, we were never going to be able to go and compete nationally.
Right.
We were always going to draw an Emery or a Senna or one of the kind of the powerhouse D3s. I knew I wanted to stay in the southeast. I wanted to go challenge myself. I wanted to stay in kind of southeast Atlanta area and have that be a recruiting hub, because I'd built a lot of good relationships recruiting there over the years at Piedmont. So obviously Valdosta State being a state school, still in Georgia, I could keep a lot of those recruiting contacts. And then my old college coach had a relationship with Mason Barfield. He knew Mason, who was our compliance director, assistant AD at the time. So there was a little bit of a connection there of, that's the way every job goes. Always someone knows someone. So that was kind of how it worked out. And then obviously coming down here, meeting with her, meeting with Mason, kind of sold me on their vision for the department and their vision for the program.
And just to kind of mention as well, you've coached some great teams and some great players in your time here at VSU. What were some of your favorite seasons that you've had here?
I think the first year was really good, because obviously we inherited a program that had a rough year the season before. So I think we started off 3-0. We had a really good start to the season. So just for those kids who bought into how we wanted to do things, because we had a little bit of turnover when I first got in with how I wanted to run things. So for those kids who bought into kind of what I wanted to do here, to experience some wins that first season, and obviously we go on the road and we beat North Isle in the conference tournament to make the Final Four of the GSC, which was, I don't think had been done in 5 or 6 years before.
Right.
So just that first group of kind of the transfers and the incoming freshmen that kind of bought into my vision for the program, for them to come in and be successful was great. And then probably the team we went to the NCAA tournament with, that was something where it was enjoyable, because that was always the goal, was to get us back competing at that level. So that group, that a lot of them were juniors and seniors who'd bought in when maybe the program wasn't as good.
Right.
And so for them to kind of get that reward of going and play the NCAA tournament and getting the recognition of going and competing at the top end of the conference. I say, you always say every team is just like when people have kids, they love every kid the same, but there's always some that you like more. So probably those two teams are probably the two that stood out, especially that first year team that we had.
Oh, absolutely, because that 2017 season, VSU went 10-6-3, 9-win improvement from the previous season, went 1-11-5 that year in 2016. 5-21-8 in the previous 2 seasons combined, 4th season double-digit wins since the program began in 2011, and even making some national ranks. I believe you guys are ranked as high as 22nd that season. So that was definitely a very, very great season. And you also mentioned North Alabama. North Alabama hasn't been a team in the GSC for a while now, but you've been here for quite a few years. So in that time, we've seen teams come and go in the Gulf South Conference, like West Georgia and Shorter departing, Trevecca Nazarene being added to the conference. Spring Hill being added as an affiliate member. What are your thoughts on the evolution of GSC women's soccer from when you started to how it is now?
Yeah, I mean, it's been good. I said you've lost some teams that like North Isle, where I'm good friends with their coach, and they were a great program. And also Shorter was one that kind of probably struggled a little bit just with the competitiveness of our conference. So it's always, the landscape of college athletics is all changing. We know a lot of the changes coming are going to be based on football going forward.
And
try and get some teams, and that kind of stuff. So I said there's always going to be a core of the conference is good. I mean, it's probably one of the better D2 soccer conferences in the country. Let's say you've got West Florida, Lee, Mississippi College. I think we've got 4 teams got a bid last year. So it's a very competitive conference. And I said there's some days where I miss being in that D3 conference at Piedmont, where there's 2 or 3 games that I knew we were going to win regardless. Now there's no easy games on our schedule, which is kind of what I signed up for. But when you get to the middle of the season, it can be a little bit of a stressor and wear you out. But there's always going to be the powerhouses of West Florida. There's always going to be the Aaron Trevecca's been a good addition for us because that's another competitive team.
Right.
It's another team that's not close to Valdosta, so it's another long bus ride for us.
Yeah, that's a long ride.
So but we get to go to Nashville, so I think the kids are excited about that. So
that is true. That is true because I traveled with the the basketball teams this past season. So I got to go to all these cities. Got to go to Jackson, to Memphis, to Nashville,
Cleveland, Mississippi.
Cleveland, Mississippi.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, those rides. Those rides are
nothing,
long.
That's the funny thing is that people see the game and they realize you're playing Delta away on a Sunday, but people turn off the game and 12 hours later we're probably still on a bus driving home. So I've got, especially for basketball, because I think they do home and away with everyone. So
yes,
we only do Delta every other year, which isn't as bad. So I think this year we get the Memphis trip this year to go to Christian Brothers as our one big long trip. So that's the one that you just you circle in the calendar, just try and hope you can get through 4 days on the road.
Yep. But for now, we're going to take a short break and we're going to come back and talk more about the teams and what we can expect from the season. Again, Coach Andrew and I here on the Inferno Extra Ember. We'll be right back after this.
Like, why not Jaylan? Why can't Jaylan try out for basketball?
Because I can't shoot.
He can.
We
got video evidence of that. Hey,
we have
Jaylan. So what I'm hearing is you can play defense, but you can't shoot.
Yes.
So you're half a player.
Oh my God. I guess in that sense.
So he's Patrick Beverly.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Inferno Extra Ember, brought to you by the Inferno Blazers Sports Show. Jaylan Scott, Coach Andrew here for the second half of this episode. It's been a great one so far. We hope you guys have been enjoying it. If you want to see more Blazer Profile episodes like this with the head coaches or any of our Blazer athletes, be sure to leave us some comments down below. But we're going to transition things onto the current season, this 2025 Blazer women's soccer season. And there's been quite a bit that's happened in the offseason, particularly with the forward core. We've lost quite a few numbers there of Molly Wooldridge, Anna Maleka, Ansley DeCenzo, who's now joined us on the Inferno, Hunter Wallace, and Molly Munchin. So with a lot of those forwards gone, and maybe a midfielder and a defender here or there that I haven't named, what did the recruiting process look like of trying to reload on that forward group? Share what you're comfortable with that if you don't want to feel like you're giving away too much.
I'll say every school in the country is looking to find people to score goals. So that was a thing. So we wanted to kind of go and find the best freshman we could. That's, I think, when we get if you're relying on the transfer portal, sometimes you don't get the kids, you're scrambling. So I thought we've brought in a good class of freshmen, and we identified a couple very early in the process that we got committed probably this time last year, which kind of helped us a little bit put our mind at ease, because the worst feeling is you get to March, April and you're still scrambling to find players. So we added a couple freshmen early in the process that we thought were going to be good for us. So Ryan Mitchell committed pretty early in the process, Lucy Longshore, a local kid, committed who we really liked, and then we've added we picked up a transfer mid-year just to help us fill need, and also then we've picked up another transfer very early in the summer, and Tatiana Yeomans, Taylor Yeomans, who's come in and done really well for us. So that's the recruiting's just changed so much in the past 3-4 years with transfer portal and the roster limits now at D1. So I think we've done a good job. We knew we were graduating a lot of forwards, so our recruiting class the year before was tough because it was tough to attract freshmen because they saw our roster and they saw that we had Ansley and Joss and Molly and Anna and everyone. So they knew that probably playing time was going to be limited playing as a forward for us. So it was really tough for us to attract freshmen in our 24 recruiting class. But then it was the opposite of our 25 class because we were getting a lot of interest because people would we'd talk to them and they'd be asking, well, where do you see me fitting in? Will I play? And we would just say, look at our roster. We graduated pretty much everyone who scored a goal for us last year. Obviously, we brought back Kimmel, brought back Maria, who were big parts. But from an attacking standpoint, I think we lost 5 of our top 6 minute getters for who were forwards. So bringing in a lot of young ones is terrifying because you have no idea how they're going to do. But I said after the first couple of days, I was worried about it. But I think the past week or so we've shown a lot of growth in that area. So we're relying on freshmen is always a scary thing, but the good things, if they come in and do well, then hopefully you're set for the next 3-4 years. Yeah,
and that's really a big thing as well. You know, you bring in a young team. You guys probably have one of the youngest cores among all of our Blazer athletics, among all of our teams right now, except maybe football. But that's just only because of numbers. That's only because of the amount of numbers they bring in. I know the basketball team or the basketball teams are very veteran loaded, very big veteran presence. I think the only ones that really rival you in that sense would be the volleyball team, who I cover quite extensively. But do you mind sharing some stories or some info about these newcomers you've brought in and how they're meshing with the team so far? I don't expect you to list off all of them, because otherwise we'll be here for another hour.
It could be a long podcast for listening. Yeah, no, we've got just a lot of personalities. It's always funny because you go through the recruiting process and they're always very quiet and shy in the recruiting process, and there's always kind of a day where you kind of hear them speak up or shout or yell or something, and you kind of see that's what they're getting comfortable. So like Ryan Mitchell's came in and was quiet and shy during the process, and comes from a great family. Whole family visited, all her brothers came down and visited, and then she was kind of a little bit quiet, and the more we talked over the summer when she was coming in, you could see her getting more comfortable and excited to come. And then, I mean, now I wish she'd go back to being quiet sometimes, because she's one of those voices that, it used to be Ansley. Ansley would be the only, there could be 10 people talking and Ansley's voice would be the only one I hear. Now that's Raya. So it doesn't matter how many's in the group, it's just I always seem to hear her voice. So she's done great fitting in. Let's see, she's getting more confident. Let's say we brought obviously Maria's back, who's helped us as a sophomore. So even just that, our freshman class from last year, getting a little bit more experience, a little bit of growth. Let's say Izzy Allen's come in, done really well from Atlanta, another one who was very quiet in the recruiting process. And he talked to some of the upperclassmen now, and they're like, Izzy's loud, Izzy's outgoing, and it's just one thing. It's fun seeing as a coach, seeing that growth from them, from when kind of they show up as kind of getting dropped off with mum and dad first day and moving. I mean, for soccer, we have a tougher preseason. We get like 16, 17 days and we're playing games straight away. So they go from getting dropped off to 3 weeks later, we're asking them to go play a college game and win a game for us. So it's fun to see that growth, and obviously when we're getting good results and playing well, that makes it a little bit easier. Absolutely, and you mentioned, and we've talked a lot about Ryan Mitchell, one of the GSC newcomers to watch. But I'm going to switch things on over here to. You mentioned Maria Rojas, reigning GSC Freshman of the Year, and Catherine Kimmel, two of our Blazer soccer players tabbed for all GSC preseason, and you guys are projected to finish 6th in the conference. I would argue I would argue that doesn't. I don't think that properly represents where this team can be. Ansley mentioned a lot about that 6th place projection. But what can you say about Maria and Catherine tab for GSC, all GSC preseason, and their contributions to the team? Yeah, I mean, I think it's really well deserved. Obviously, Maria was voted the best freshman in the conference last year. That was what she battled injury all year. Probably only played half the game every game, just had a stop-start season with injuries last year. And also Catherine's been a 3-year starter for us and done really well, and kind of one of our leaders, one of the vocal ones. So obviously having that experience from Catherine helps. And Maria's just one of those players who are fun to coach. She's very creative, wants to score goals, and some of the time she goes off the cuff a little bit and does her own thing. But for the position she plays and the way we want to play, we need players like that to go be creative and score goals for us. Obviously, the pre-season poll, I don't pay any attention to it, because we get sent a random email at the end of July and we get told to rank teams we don't know who's coming back, we don't know who's transferring in for other teams. So a lot of it's just based on kind of how teams finished last year. So sometimes you get picked first or second, there's a target on your back all season. So I say we'll take it, and hopefully at the end of the season we've put some good performances, and some people will look foolish within their predictions of putting us 6th. And just to kind of run us back here, and kind of go back to the last question I asked before we went into break. Mentioned a lot about Lee University. What's something that you and the team can learn from last season to really translate into this season? I know some of it was a bit out of control because obviously of the hurricane. You have games rescheduled. You have storms that come in, knockout games. You have to play makeup games. Well, what are some lessons you guys learned from last year that they really want to emphasize and put into practice for this year? Yeah, just control what you can control. Like, we couldn't control a lot of stuff that went wrong last year. So I think that's something we did a good job of going through the spring season as well, of just kind of controlling kind of the aspects of the program we can control, and then from a soccer standpoint, just can we be a little more clinical. I think last year we had a lot of the ball, we just didn't score enough goals, honestly. I think there's a lot of games where we're tying games or losing goals by 1 goal, where if we're a little bit more clinical in front of goal, a little more creative, I think than that. So that those games you're tying 1-1 or losing 2-1, even in the playoff game against Lee, we get back in the game 2-1, we have some chances, don't take them, and then they go to another end and score. So it's just that when we are on top, when we do have possession and we're kind of on top of teams, can we find a way to go and score goals? Because obviously soccer's a very simple game. We need to kick the little white ball and a big white goal. It's not sometimes coaches complicate it. So
yeah,
I think that's the message we're trying to get across to the kids is, that when we're on top, we want to go and score goals, can we go and take advantage and kind of finish games off? That's similar to last week. Middle Georgia were 1-0 up and pretty comfortable. We don't get a second goal,
right?
End up tying the game. So hopefully that's something we can kind of grow from and take from last season and kind of help us for the rest of this season.
And we talked about a bit how this forward core is going to look very different from what it did last year. And one of the biggest questions I think this team will face this season that we discussed quite in depth in the first episode of this season was that scoring production, like you mentioned. Big supporting evidence being that Maria Rojas, midfielder, leading the team with 5 goals in her 18 games played, the lowest in that category since Molly Woolridge's 5 goals in 2022, and before that it was on Kayla Robles back in 2016. So with a lot of these new forwards that you have, I know Taylor Humans already has her first goal, in the season. But where do you think? Who do you think is really going to step up on that really going to step up with the forwards and the midfielders to be those scorers for what seems to be a more defensive focused team that you seem to run? Yeah,
also we want Maria to get more goals this year. I think if she gets more minutes, she'll score. Mm-hmm. We're hoping a senior like Vicky Barr who does a lot of good things for us. We need to add goals to our game. That's something we've talked about in the off seasons. Can we add goals to our game? And then you've got some returning juniors, Kaylee Kerr and Sarah Hudson, who've got minutes here and there over the last year. They had a really good spring season for us, but now can we transition that into a good fall season? And mm-hmm. I say you want to have the goals we spread around. So we don't want to be a team who's relying on one person to come and score 15 goals for us, and then they have a bad game and no one else is scoring.
Right.
So we want to try and if we can get 3-4 people scoring 7 to 10 goals, then I think that sets you up for a really successful season.
So what do you think will it take for VSU to claim its second ever women's GSC soccer tournament title? That's a big thing that we're looking for.
That's the goal every year. That's every year every team starts wanting to go and win, and that says, can we be consistent? I think that's our thing. Sometimes we've just been a little bit inconsistent week to week. Obviously, the schedule's tough playing Friday, Sundays.
Right.
So can we take care of our home games? I think last year we were undefeated when we played true home games here. So that's something where I think if we win our home games in conference, that's something that's going to help us. I think the home games we dropped last year were some of those neutral site games we had to move stuff because of weather. So I think if we can win our home games, and that sets us up, and then can we go and you need to have a couple of 2-win weekends on the road, and that's
exactly.
I think that's the difference between the teams who have been kind of dominant every, like a West Florida, a Lee, who've been really good year on year as they go on the road and get 2 wins. So it's a mentality thing of, if you do win on the Friday game, then can we make sure we're still kind of checked in and make sure we get a second win on the Sunday, because the difference between being a 2 seed or a 1 seed or a 4 seed is very slim at the end of the season. So if we can find a way to get a home game in the quarterfinals, that's, we do enough travelling as it is.
Yes.
So anytime we can avoid a bus ride, I'm ecstatic. So that's kind of the goal. So it's home games, and then find a way to try and get a home game for that quarterfinal matchup, and then that kind of sets you up to go make a run at the Final Four.
Right. Well, hopefully we get one of those this time around. It'd be great to cover a home GSC soccer match this season. That'd be fantastic to cover. Just a couple more questions just to wrap things up here. I know I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this episode, we talked about the comparisons between European and American soccer from your time, obviously being a Scottish native, but in terms of just how the game is played, just in terms of how the game is played, what's your take on the evolution of how the game is played? Do you think it's become more defensively focused, more offensively focused? Do midfielders have more of a role in the game here at the college level or at the professional level? What's kind of your take on that as you follow college soccer?
The college level is getting more direct. I think teams are just getting more athletes in, and they're just playing more direct, which is not a style we want to play. We want to try and possess the ball, but also with the personnel we've got this year, we're a little bit more athletic up top, so we can go direct. Mm-hmm. So I think the college level, they go more direct. There's more pressing. I think that's because of the substitution rules, where we can basically get free subs. So we can use 20 to 23 players, so you can run people. I think on the men's side, it's probably not as direct. It's more possession based on the men's side. I think top level D1, D2 on the men's side is a lot more internationals, honestly. So I think they come in and want to pass the ball. I think as you get to the professional level, it varies team to team. At that level, every level try to win games. So what we need to do to win games, but I think it's the women's game's gone. It's not fun to watch at times, but obviously every coach is trying to win games to keep a contract and to be successful. So I think the direct style is kind of D1 at the highest level. It's direct for the majority of teams. You got the other teams want to try and play and pass it, and then D2 it's kind of water. It's kind of came down to our way a little bit, and it's more, can we get it forward quickly, play another team's half? So I think there's pros and cons to it. I don't like it. I think if we're doing that on a Sunday and we're just going very direct, then fatigue-wise, we're going to run kids to death and just not have enough energy. So it's basically try to find that balance of can we keep it, can we go long when we have to, and then we need to win games.
Exactly. Just kind of a general question that I kind of asked all the coaches. I've also asked AD Caton as well. You just kind of referencing back to, you mentioned Montevallo being one like the big rivals here in women's soccer between VSU and Montevallo, but one that I really think should be pushed as the next biggest one. What are your thoughts on Valdosta State West Florida being the new GSC rivalry, like how VSU West Georgia was?
Yeah, I mean, you can make an argument for that, definitely, because I mean, the funny thing, that's probably one of our closest games now, with West Georgia leaving. So, and also both of us having football, both of us kind of being founding members or being here a long time in the GSC.
Right.
So I think, because the next close one's probably AUM, but also they don't have football. So you always want the big rivalry, your game, the team who you're a rival with, to be someone who has football, to kind of add that to the department. So I can get on board with that. I can agree with that.
I always push it as the Gulf Coast clash.
Yes,
that was my thing. And just kind of as a final question here to wrap up. Again, we asked this to all the coaches as well. And I know this is looking like further on. But what do you want to be remembered for here at VSU?
I think we brought in good kids. Like, were our kids good ambassadors? Did they represent the program well? And then did we graduate them? Because I think if you're doing all those things, the soccer takes care of itself. Yeah. So I think we want to make sure that we're not bringing in kids who are maybe doing good in the field, but then they're not graduating, they're not going to class, they're not staying here. So are we bringing in good kids who come in? Obviously, in today's landscape, it's not as prevalent to come here and stay 4 years and graduate, but I think we still want to be a program that does that and brings in true freshmen and has them come graduate, has them be successful. So I think if we're known for that, and then also culture of our team, are we hard working? Are we kind of aggressive? Do we go battle? So are we a team that people want to come watch us play? Exactly. Because we want to try and attract the local fans, we want to attract people on campus to come watch us play, but we've got to put on a style of play then that people want to come watch. So that's it. Yeah, if we're known by that, I'll be happy when I leave here.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap things up here for this episode of the Extra Ember. Another edition of Blazer Profiles. Coach Andrew, again, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. Again, if you want to see more Blazer Profile episodes like this, whether it be with a Blazer athlete or with another head coach, which, by the way, you might actually want to keep an eye out for that, because I know we got 2 more planned, because come insert here or high water, I will make it happen. Make sure to get those content out for you guys. But again, Coach Andrew, Jaylan, Scott, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. And as always, if you can't take the heat, what makes you think you can survive the Inferno? Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.